Hey everyone, have you ever tried to talk about an activity that's happening now and will just keep on going into the future, and you want to emphasize just how long it will have been going on for? Well, English has a special tool just for that, the future perfect continuous tense. I know, it sounds like a real mouthful, but I promise, by the end of this, it's going to feel way simpler than it sounds. Let's dive in. So let's start with a little puzzle. Imagine an action that's already happening, and it's going to continue all the way up to a specific point in the future. How do you talk about that? Well, that's the exact problem this tense was invented to solve. Okay, here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the main idea, learn the formula, see it in action, clear up a few tricky spots, and then it's quiz time. All right, first things first. What is this tense really about? Honestly, the best way to think about it is like you have a time machine. You can jump to a point in the future, turn around, and look back at how long something has been happening. And here is the single most important thing to remember. It's not just that something will happen. The real star of the show here is duration. It's all about emphasizing how long that action will have been in progress by that future moment. Okay, now for the nuts and bolts. How do we actually build one of these sentences? It might look a little long, but the formula is actually super consistent and makes a lot of sense. Here it is. I like to think of this as a recipe with 4 essential ingredients. You always need will, have, been, and then your main action verb with that ing ending. You need all 4 parts for it to work. And here's some really good news. The core of this tense, that will have been part, it never changes. It doesn't matter if the subject is I, she, or they. It stays exactly the same. That makes it so much easier to remember. All right, so we know how to build it, but when do we actually pull this tool out of our grammar toolbox? Let's check out some real-life situations. This timeline really brings the concept to life. Okay, imagine you start studying right now. The action continues on, and then by that future point, let's say 6 p.m., you can look back and say, I will have been studying for 3 hours. See? It perfectly connects that ongoing action to a future endpoint. So these are really the 2 main reasons you'll use this tense. The first is to really hammer home how long something has been going on. The second is to explain why something will happen in the future. The long continuous drive is the cause of his future exhaustion. It all connects. And here's a pro tip. Keep an eye out for these key words. Phrases like by, for, and by the time are huge clues. They signal that you need to talk about the duration of something leading up to a future point, which makes them perfect partners for the future perfect continuous. Okay, let's sharpen our understanding a bit. This tense has a close cousin, the future perfect simple, and it is crucial to know the difference. We'll also quickly cover how to ask questions and make negative sentences. This is such a vital comparison. You use the continuous tense when you want to focus on the process, the ongoing activity, the studying. You use the simple tense when you want to focus on the finished result. The homework is done. It's like one is about the journey and the other is about the destination. Making a negative sentence is incredibly easy. You just slide the word not in between will and have. And honestly, when we're just talking, you're almost always going to hear the contraction, won't. And what about questions? The word order just does a little flip. Will moves to the very front right before the subject, and if you have a question word like how long or what, that just sits right at the beginning. Simple as that. Okay, this is a super important tip. This tense is for actions that happen over time. But some verbs describe a state or a feeling, like knowing something or loving someone. You don't really do those things for a period of time, right? They just are. So for those verbs, you'd use a different tense. All right, theory time is over. You've seen the rules, you've seen the examples, you're ready. It is time to put your new knowledge to the test. Let's do it. Okay, first question. By next summer, I at this company for 5 years. So we see the future point by next summer, and we see the duration for 5 years. That's our big clue. Which answer talks about a long action continuing up to that point? If you picked C, will have been working, you absolutely nailed it. Number 2. This one is about cause and effect. The future result is he'll be tired. What's the reason? It's a long, continuous action that's been happening all day. So which option shows that? The correct answer is A, will have been traveling. Okay, a question this time. Remember the structure we looked at? The sentence starts with how long. So think, What word needs to come right after that before the subject you? If you remember that will has to jump in front, then you got the right answer. D, will you have been learning? All right, let's tackle a negative. They, here long when the lease ends. Remember where we put not in our formula? Which one of these shows the correct structure, especially in its contracted form? The right way to say it is B, won't have been living. And for our last question, let's go back to the biggest idea of all. What is this tense really all about? What is its main job? What does it emphasize more than anything else? I bet you know this one. It's all about C, the duration of an action. Excellent work. You've just unlocked one of the most descriptive tenses in the entire English language. The key now is to practice. Start listening for it when people are talking and challenge yourself to use it. You now have this amazing tool to talk about the future with way more detail. Thanks so much for joining me.